Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of the Legacy Power Rangers Zeo Ranger 1 and Zeo Ranger 2 figures. Right off the bat, in case you're curious how to get these things, they are actually a GameStop exclusive. Yes, you heard that right, a GameStop exclusive. There's a little sticker here right on the box if it'll just focus on it for you. It says GameStop exclusive, there you go. You know, it's not made on there permanently, just a little sticker, and there's also a little 20th anniversary sticker on there. But yeah, because we're in the end times of Bandai, I guess they decided it would be the most convenient to make it be GameStop exclusive, and it's only these two right now. Who knows, we could see others later. But let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm just going to start off real quick with the fact that you can now complete this Zeo Megazord figure after like 2.5 waves, 2 waves, and then this weird GameStop half wave by getting the 1 and 2 leg parts. And here is the Zeo Megazord Build-A-Figure. It's very okay. I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think it looks the worst of all the Build-A-Ones so far. It looks very cheap. The sort of midway point gold, bronze, brown plastic looks really cheap. I'm not even one that wants, like, super every detail, and, like, one of those fans is like, oh my god, it's missing that one blue line right there, they ruined the Sentai! But it's like, they missed so many little things here that it looks so plain. Like, it looks like not a Playmate store, because they actually make pretty good toys with Voltron and stuff, but it looks like, you know, one of those kind of kid build figures that's like in the bootleg Lego section. Like, this looks pretty plain, and the green paint here even just looks, it looks like clay. It's just weird. And the legs here also, like, could you have just painted, again, I just made fun of people complaining about a strip, but, you know, just adding the little lines here could have made a difference. But I think the mold is okay. Like, the proportions are pretty good. I kind of dig that. Like, I think it's pretty well done for that. I mean, sure, the legs are kind of long here for what, you know, they are in the show, but I'm always okay with these being a little bit, like, stylized. You know, and it has, you know, pretty good articulation, pretty much like the figures have, all around, in and out, little joint here, swiveling here. You just got closed fist, that's it, no sword or anything. Nice joint here, single joint there, it's a little loose from transforming it. These actually have foot joints, which is kind of nice. No, like chest articulation, but you got the waist articulation here. And then you have head articulation, can move up and down and around. So it's pretty good articulation in that sense. And like I said, I do think the mold's pretty solid. Like, if it was just painted better, just a bit of better presentation could have gone a long way for this, is what I'm saying. Okay, now let's move on to the main events. We'll start with Zeo Ranger 1 for obvious reasons, because she's number 1. Like, it said it right in the name, and I just said it. So yeah, this uses basically the same female mold, which looks, actually no, I'll bring a comparison in a second, but it is a little bit off. Definitely weird. Like, the waist goes super in really quick, and the breasts are very oddly placed, and it's definitely, like I said, at least a version of the same mold they've been using. I feel like for whatever reason, to me, it stands out the most on this one. Maybe it's because of the design on, like, the main chest area for the Ranger suit. I don't know, but it definitely does stand out as awkward. It's definitely a step up from the other Zeo Ranger 1 figures that exist, which are the thumb-looking one and the flippable. And the helmet sculpt, honestly, I think the visor is a bit too big on her. Like, it's just a smidge. It looks a little bit odd for me. And the color of the suit, I think, is a little bit too hot pink compared to what it's like in the show. I think it's a little bit toned down. Maybe it's just me. Articulation, pretty much par for the course, like I was just showing. Hinge joint here, down and around, swiveling, got your single elbow joint. You just have the one type of hold weapon fists. Pretty solid leg articulation as well. You do have a little bit hindrance here, but it's flexible enough that you can sort of work with it. It's not the best, but not the worst either. You got actually kind of a double knee joint here, which is really nice. And then you have a little hinge joint here on the foot. Chest and waist articulation there. Oops, and then it just pops right off. I did not mean to do that. Hers was actually a bit loose because when I pulled her out of the box, it popped off like that. That's actually happened with some Dragon Ball figures for me too. But then nice little head articulation here, so pretty well articulated. As for accessories, she comes with the 2 holsters, which you have to put in, and then you got the blaster and baton, and like we know by now, par for the course, they only come with basically the sidearm weapons, sans a few special cases like Green Ranger, White Ranger, and Gold Ranger, I think, and then like the metallic ones. But here's the thing. I mean, yes, it does suck that we're not getting the main weapons, and hopefully something like that will fix in a Hasbro equivalent. But okay, fine. Let's say you get past that and you're just getting the sidearms. Why do they think it's a cool idea to just have the folded up mode of this or the MMPR sidearm weapon? Like, oh, I can't wait to pose it in the really cool retracted weapon mode. Like, okay. Okay, so Zeo Ranger 2 Yellow I think looks a little bit better. Obviously the same base mold, but the helmet I think looks much more on point for the overall scale of it. Again, maybe it's just me, but that's just the way I feel. I feel hers just looks more right to what it looks like in the show, whereas Pink's is just a little bit too odd for me. So I think she's a little bit of a stronger figure for that point. But the mold is all the same, you know. I really don't have a problem with the color yellow they used. I did bring in a comparison here. We have Zeo Ranger 2 Yellow. There seems to be some slight variations in the mold, a little bit to me, but you can see it's basically the same concept. I just feel like, honestly, this looks like a stronger figure to me. The yellow looks better. I think maybe it's just the design for the suits that make it look more awkward on here, but yeah, there's a comparison. I picked her because she's yellow and just yellow, but yeah. No real loose joint problems, which is nice. My head on this one feels a little bit loose. Like I said, no loose joint problems, then it's loose. But what I mean is it's not like so loose like when you're moving it around, it's like flapping everywhere. It's just a little bit less tight of a joint than normal. But overall, just like the same figure as Pink in terms of articulation and quality. It's just, I do think hers looks a little bit better. Okay, for the final verdict here, I did want to get a shot of all 6 Legacy Zeo figures with the Megazord. I usually don't do this because honestly you can just picture it yourself, but it's a part of 2 points I want to make. One, Adam is an absolute idiot who keeps falling over, and I'm really mad at him, and he's going in timeout after this. But first I wanted to just point out that I do prefer, despite the odd waist proportions, I do prefer the waist joint proportion, or not proportion, waist joint mechanism or whatever on the girls compared to these weird hinge joints the guys get. That feels like a really outdated toy mechanism to me. It's just weird. But the reason I wanted to bring all these guys in is because the point I wanted to make about this is that these figures are really imperfect, and you can definitely see that just from me going over the girl Zeo figures with some of the proportions and stuff, and again, very, very imperfect. But it's really cool to have a full team of well-articulated Zeo Ranger figures. Again, we could very well get something like this during the Hasbro era, and I'm going to assume so at some point, however long it takes. But for right now, I don't know how long it'll take, and even though they're not perfect, they're not my absolute favorites, I'm not over the moon like, you need these, but it's still cool to have this team of articulated Zeo figures, mainly because they were one of the teams like in the absolute most need of better updated figures. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, some of the last ones we got were the thumb original Zeo figures that were oddly shaped, and then the flip heads, and then you also had the little ones that came with the bikes and stuff. So they were one of the ones in the most need of an update. So even though I don't think they're the absolute must-have top tier quality figures, I think if you're a Zeo or O-Ranger fan, if you can find these to track down if you want something in the right now, I don't think you'll be too disappointed, because even though, again, lots of problems, they just demonstrated it, and now they're going to stay that way. That's what you get. Are you guys happy with yourselves? You know, the lack of weapons and, you know, just general higher quality, they're still solid and look good as a group until they fall over. But anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more Power Rangers videos, more antics like this, and other Power Rangers and Toku news and reviews. Anyway, Dawson Rider, signing out.